The Baltimore Ravens have 9 Pro Bowlers, including their first wide receiver ever, Zay Flowers. Let's talk about it. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to TTB Ravens Media. It's a new year. Obviously, it's 2025, and the Baltimore Ravens, for the first time in the history of the organization, they have finally drafted and gotten a Pro Bowl wide receiver on the team. Zay Flowers, the first ever do it, and he does it in his second career season. I believe he is the second player from his rookie class to make the Pro Bowl, because I believe Puka Nacua did it last year. But JSN didn't make it this year. He was having a very good season. Jordan Addison has had a decent season, didn't make it in the NFC. Obviously, Rashee Rice ended up getting injured. But Zay Flowers, currently sitting at 73 receptions, 1,047 yards, 4 touchdowns, and one of the best separation rates in the NFL, has finally gotten to a Pro Bowl. And this is huge news. If you asked me, last year when we drafted Zay Flowers, like, hey, do you think he's going to be a Pro Bowler in year 2? I would have said no, because not only did I just not really recognize how well his game will translate to what the Ravens are doing on offense, but also it's just he's playing with Lamar Jackson. The Ravens aren't necessarily going to be throwing for 4,000 yards in a season, so statistically it's going to be really difficult for him to compare with other wide receiver ones in the NFL, especially with Mark Andrews being a dominant player. And I'd just be like, no, like that's just not happening. We've never drafted one. And it's probably not going to happen in year 2. Now, could it have happened, year 3, year 4, year 5? Yeah, potentially. But the growth of not just Zay Flowers, not just Lamar Jackson, but this entire passing game as a whole in the last 2 years, this selection for Zay Flowers is a nice recognition of how different this Ravens passing game is than what it's been in years past. Because you look back in previous years where the Ravens have had lots of Pro Bowlers, like in 2019, it's defensive players, it's offensive linemen, it's tight ends, the wide receivers were an afterthought. And now when you're looking at the MVP debates, which I'm sure I'll put out a video in the next, couple of days before the Ravens final game, talking about my thoughts on MVP. I've been trying to stay out of it. Honestly, I haven't put out a video in a little bit. I will talk about it. I just didn't want to make videos on it all the time. So I'll give maybe before the Browns game and after the Browns game, like my full thoughts on the MVP. So stay tuned for that. But Zay Flowers, now in that MVP debate, when you're looking at Pro Bowlers, people are like, Lamar Jackson's got a Pro Bowl wide receiver. And Josh Allen, he only has a Pro Bowl offensive tackle. That's the only other Pro Bowler on the Buffalo Bills. So, that debate, I said when we signed Derrick Henry, I tweeted out earlier in the season, like, I really don't care if Lamar Jackson gets the MVP. Obviously, it's cool. Like, I'm not going to say, like, I don't want him to get the MVP. I want him to get the MVP, but, like, it doesn't matter. Like, the reason we brought in Derrick Henry, the reason we've done all these additions is not to win regular season awards. The goal is to go into the playoffs, win 4 playoff games, and take home the Lombardi Trophy. That's the ultimate goal. So, Zay Flowers getting that recognition, like, sure, it might hurt in the MVP debate, but really it's just it's cool to be able to see another young player on this Ravens team get that first Pro Bowl. I do want to bring up the other players that made it. So Zay Flowers, Kyle Hamilton is back. Derrick Henry, obviously, we knew he was going to be there. Marlon Humphrey, awesome to see him, kind of return to the Pro Bowl. This is probably, I would guess, this is Marlon Humphrey's second time being a Pro Bowler off of the initial voting. He's made it 4 times. I honestly don't know how to find. I could go through all the historical, every year's who's the initial Pro Bowler. He's made it 4 times. I think they were probably more as alternates that got slid in. I think this is probably the best season of Marlon Humphrey's career. I think this is better than 2019, where he was that all-pro player. He's been unbelievable this year. Really cool to see him get that recognition. Lamar Jackson, obviously, 4th time. Tyler Linderbaum, 2nd time. Nnamdi Madubuike, that's one that I'm really happy to see. That shows that people are recognizing how good of a player he is, even when statistically he's not as dominant. We don't have a Kyle Van Noy. We don't have an Odafe Owe. Nnamdi Madubuike is still seen as one of the top interior pass rushers, and this is on a defense that hasn't been necessarily great all year. Namdi doesn't have great stats, but people are recognizing, hey, this guy's getting double teamed. He's being productive. He's stopping the run. He's freeing up those edge rushers, and that's why Kyle Van Noy has 11 sacks. That's why Adafe is near 10 sacks this year. It's because Namdi Madubuike has been a very good player this year. Patrick Ricard makes it 5th time. Honestly, I don't know how much competition there is for fullback. Like, there's 2 good fullbacks in the NFL, or 2 great fullbacks in the NFL. One in the NFC, Kyle Juszczyk. One in the AFC, Patrick Ricard. Pretty much make it every year. It's pretty easy for voting. And then Roquan Smith, which, again, that might be a name value, name brand kind of addition. People vote for Roquan because they know he's good. I don't necessarily know if he, fully should be the starting, guy. But at the same time, like, hey, he's recognized as one of the best linebackers in the NFL. I'm glad people are seeing that, because when you look at week 10 and on, or before week 10, so week 10 through week 1, I don't know if I would have said we had any Pro Bowlers outside of like Marlon and Kyle on the defensive side of the ball, because that's how bad the Ravens defense was playing. Remember that? The Ravens are the worst defense in the NFL. Like, one of the worst defenses maybe ever. Like, it was horrific watching them play, right? Every single time someone threw a deep ball, it was like miscommunication. Like, I thought we were in cover 3. We were supposed to be in quarters, and guy ran right by. Or, we threw it up, deep ball, PI. And it's just like, dude, what is going on? They've really flipped it around these last, 7 games, and that's been really nice to see. That change, it's reminiscent of what happened with Mike McDonald in his first year, right? We blew that lead to the Dolphins. I think we blew a lead to the Bills. We blew a lead to we blew another lead in those, first 5 games. And it was just like, dude, this Ravens team is struggling. Like, is this a team that can even like make the playoffs, right? And all of a sudden it was like, wait a minute, Mike McDonald now has gotten situated. He's figured it out. And I think the same thing's happening with Zach Rear. We bring in Dean Pease. We make some changes in the secondary. Our Darius Washington's been playing very good football. I think if our Darius Washington was starting the entire year, he probably could have been another Pro Bowler. However, he wasn't. Marcus Williams was starting. We ended up making that switch. It's really helped out this defense, and I think that helped get a lot more Pro Bowlers on the Ravens defensive side of the ball, because, again, this defense was horrific for over the first half of the season. Lamar and the offense kept them afloat, and now all of a sudden the Ravens are sitting with the most Pro Bowlers in the league, which, again, they're not the best record, but it just shows how prolific their offense is, how prolific their talent is, even though the record isn't necessarily saying so, right? They have losses to the Raiders, to the Browns. They lost to good teams. They lost to the Chiefs. They lost to, I don't really want to give credit to the Steelers, but they lost to the Steelers and they lost to the Eagles. But it's really nice to see that the Baltimore Ravens have nailed a draft pick for the wide receiver position. And honestly, Zay Flowers, like, I want to give all his flowers, right? Give him his praise. But also, I want to recognize Rashad Bateman, because Rashad Bateman, if he hadn't made the leap he's made this year, knock on wood, in terms of both health and play on the field, I don't know. And I don't think Zay Flowers ends up making the Pro Bowl. I think it's a situation where you see this happen and you go, oh, we're doubling Zay Flowers. But instead, you can't double Zay Flowers because Derrick Henry's there and Rashad Bateman is also getting open. So it's allowing these two players to play off of each other very well. They both separate. They both play great football. And, this award, this recognition, this honor, I think is more of a testament to how improved this passing game is for Lamar Jackson and the Ravens. So it's really cool to see. Let me know in the comment section down below your thoughts. Who got snubbed? Were there any Ravens that got snubbed? I don't necessarily think there were. Like, maybe Kyle Van Noy as a pass rusher, he's been playing very well, but edge is just such a tough position to get in because they're going to give it to the TJ Watts of the world. They're going to give it to the elite players that are recognized. And I think my camera just focused. Hopefully it wasn't out of focus the entire video. So if you got to the end of the video and the camera was out of focus the entire time, I apologize. I've been standing in the same spot this entire video. I tried to move back and forth to get it to refocus, but there we go. But thank you all so much for watching. Subscribe for more. And I will see all of you again. I will be making a video tomorrow, so I'll see all of you again Friday. with probably an MVP discussion. So let me know. Should Lamar win it? We're all Ravens fans here, so it's probably going to be a guess.